Hi there, grade 8, and welcome to the next lesson in WorksheetCloud Maths. Before we get started, I just want to say I've been thinking about all you guys that have been having birthdays over April and are going to be having birthdays in May, because I doubt you'll be getting back to school in May. But there's been a lot of people around me that have had birthdays, and it just made me realize that everybody is actually celebrating birthdays on their own and without their friends, especially you guys that are still at school. Your friends are probably very important to you, and you're not able to celebrate your birthday with them. So I just want to say that others are thinking about you, and I want you to have the most amazing time when you do have a birthday in May with your families. And those of you that have had a birthday in April, I hope you had a great time then too. Okay, I'm not going to sing to you. I promise you I won't put you through that. I think you might run away, and I don't want you to run away from my lesson. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to carry on with our focus on fractions. This is the fourth lesson in this series, and we are going to be looking at exponents today and how exponents affect fractions. All right, so the first thing to do is we're going to look at what you remember about exponents themselves. So when you've got 2 squared, as you know, it would be 2 times 2, which is 4. If you've got 6 squared, it's 6 times 6, which is 36. Because as you know, you are multiplying the base number by itself depending on the exponent. So if the exponent is 2, you multiply the base number by itself twice. If the exponent is 3, you would multiply the base number by itself 3 times. So as you can see in the third example, 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. Okay, that's just revision of grade 6 and 7 work. All right, let's go on. Let's have a look. Oh, first of all, please remember that anything to the power of 0 is 1. So it doesn't matter whether you've got a number in thousands. If the exponent is 0, the answer will always be 1. Okay, so again, if the exponent is 0, the answer is 1. Right. Let's have a look at now what happens in a fraction. So if we write a fraction like that, 1 squared over 4, then you are only going to square the 1. You'll only square the numerator because the exponent is related to the numerator only. So you will then look there, it says then only square the numerator. 1 times 1 is 1, and 4 stays the same. The denominator will stay as is. So if you try this one, 3 squared over 5, let's see. It will be 3 times 3 over 5. Remember, the exponent is only related to the numerator, so 3 times 3 is 9, and it will be 9 over 5. So you will end up with an improper fraction, and you can simplify it. Right. But if we write a fraction like this, where it's a quarter, and that's in brackets, and the 2 is on the outside of the brackets, it means that we have to square both the numerator and the denominator. So we will go 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, so you try that one. Let's see what you come up with. All right, let's have a look. It would be 3 times 3 is 9, and 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, everybody happy with that so far? Right, you try some on your own. There they are. I want you to pause the video, and then we will go over them together. It's just a very quick little exercise. Try them on your own, and then you can see how you did. Okay, let's see how you did. Right, 2 squared is equal to 4 over 3. Okay, because it's 2 times 2 is equal to 4. The denominator stays the same. 3 over 5 to the power of 2, or 5 squared, is going to give you 3 over 25. Can you see how you've only squared the number where the square is, where the exponent is? But now look at number 3. The whole fraction is squared, so you'll square the top, which will give you 9, and the denominator, which will give you 16. Okay, have a look at number 4. There is a power that is 0, okay, an exponent that is 0, so your answer 3 over 1, and you can simplify that to 3. Okay, and then we've got an exponent inside the brackets, which only affects the numerator, and we've got one on the outside. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to square the 2, you're going to get 4 over 4. Then you're going to square everything in the bracket, so you're going to square the numerator and the denominator, 16 over 16, and that will give you 1. Right, let's go on. What about square roots or cube roots? Okay, how do we do that? Well, it works exactly the same. Okay, so if we've got the square root of 9 over 4, we're only going to square root 9, and it's going to give us 3 over 4. Okay, you're not going to square the whole or square root the whole fraction, because the square root sign is only over the 9. Okay, but if you've got the square root sign over the whole fraction, then you're going to square root both parts of the fraction, the numerator and the denominator. So there we've square rooted 9, we get 3, we found the square root of 4, and we get 2. So our fraction, our answer is 3 over 2. Okay, so try this one. There we go. 5 over the square root of 100 is equal to 5 over 10, which is going to give us a half. Okay, remember what I've said before, always, always, always look to simplify your fractions. Right. Okay, now you can try these. There's 3 for you to try. Pause the video, you work them out, and then we'll come back and go over them. Right, let's see how you did. Okay, the square root of 25 is 5, and your denominator remains the same, it's 4, so you're going to get an answer of 5 over 4, which is equal to 1 1/4, because we simplify. Okay, let's look at the next one. We've got 5 over the square root of 49, we're going to get 5 over 7, and that can't be simplified, it remains as is. Can you see how I only squared the square root of the 49? Because the 5 was fine on its own. Right, number 3, the whole fraction was square rooted because it was all under the square root sign. So if we've got a square root 81 and then we've got a square root 144, we get 9 over 12. Have a look, that's not in its simplest form, therefore we're going to simplify it, and we can divide both numerator and denominator by 3. We're going to get an answer of 3/4. Okay, everybody happy so far? So let's just go over it. If you've got a square of the numerator only or of the denominator only, you only square that or cube that or whatever the exponent tells you to do. But if it is over the whole fraction, and generally the fraction will be written in brackets, then you're going to square or cube the whole fraction. When you've got a square root over only the denominator or only the numerator, then you apply that to either only the denominator or only the numerator, as in the case of 1 and 2. But when it is over the whole fraction, then you're going to apply that rule to the whole fraction. Right. Let's combine all your knowledge of fractions and see if we can work some of these out. All right, we've got a half all cubed plus the square root of 9 over 6. Okay, so first of all, we're going to cube the whole fraction. So 1 times 1 times 1 is going to give me 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is going to give me 8. Then we've got to square root 9, which is going to give me 3, and your denominator there stays the same. Now you carry on and you work it out as normal. Okay, so first of all, we have to do get rid of the squares and the square roots, so any work with exponents first before we can carry on with our operation. And here we are going to add, so we've got to find a common denominator. We can use the denominator of 48. 8 goes into 48 6 times, so 6 times 1 is 6. 6 goes into 48 8 times, 8 times 3 is 24. We're then going to add them together as we've learned. 6 plus 24 is going to give me 30. 30 over 48 can be simplified. It will give you 5 over 8. 6 goes into both 30 and 48. 6 into 30 goes 5 times. 6 into 48 goes 8 times. If you don't see that, that's absolutely fine. Just you can halve it. You're going to get 15 over 24, and then you will see that they can both be divided by 3, and you will get 5 over 8. It doesn't matter how many times you need to show you're simplifying, as long as you end up with the simplest form of the fraction. Okay, let's have another look. Here's another one. This looks complicated, but guys, like I say, you go one at a time. You just do one thing and then you go on to the next. So the first thing is 4 to the power of 0 will give you 1. Then you're going to square root 25 and it's going to give you 25. Then you've got to go 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 and 6 times 6. So we're going to end up with 1 over 5. 2 to the power of 4 is 16 and 6 to the power of 2 is 36. Okay, all happy with that? Right. Then we're going to multiply out and we're going to get 16 over 180. We're going to then simplify that and we're going to get 4 over 45 because 4 goes into 16 4 times, 4 goes into 180 45 times. Everybody happy? That is the fraction in its simplest form. Nothing goes into 4 and into 45, so that is your final answer. Let's just go over it again. Each one of those parts of each fraction had something to be done to it, so we're going to tackle that first and come to the fractions that we can work with. So 4 to the power of 0 was 1. The square root of 25 is 5. 2 to the power of 4 is 16 because it's 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16. Then 6 to the power of 2 is 36. Okay. Then we're going to multiply out because there's nothing that we can see that can cancel or cross cancel. We're going to end up with 16 over 180 and then we simplify to 4 over 45. Right. Let's see. Let's make a little bit more involved. Oh my goodness. Now we've got big things to sort out. As I said, it looks intense. It's not really. Deal with each thing as it happens. So you can square 3, it will give you 9 over 5. You square root the 25, it gives you 5. You square the 2, which gives you 4, so it will be 5 plus 4, which is going to give you 9 over 18. Then you've got to divide it by 1 and 5 over 9. Okay, so remember, when you are dividing by a mixed number, you've got to change it into an improper fraction. So it would be 9 times 1 is 9, plus 5 will give me 14. And there we go. So I've squared the 3, I've got 9, 5 stays the same, nothing needs to happen to it. Here I got the 5 from square rooting 25 and the 4 from saying 2 squared. I've changed my 1 and 5 ninths into an improper fraction. Okay, and then I go work out the numerator here, which will give me 9. 5 plus 4 is 9. And then I tip and times. Remember, we've done that before. So you times, but then you put your numerator on the bottom, becomes the denominator, and your denominator becomes the numerator. Right, now we have to do the multiplication first because of your order of operations. Multiplication must come first. And so I can simplify that, and I can say 9, or you can either do the 9 first, or you can do this. So it would have been, sorry about that guys, I just have fixed that quickly. And we've got now a half times 9 over 14, because 9 over 18 we can simplify to being a half. We can't simplify anything anymore in that multiplication part of the calculation. So we're just going to multiply out. 1 times 9 is 9, 2 times 14 will give me 28. We now need to find a common denominator, sorry about that, and the easiest thing would just be to say 5 times 28, and we're going to get a common denominator of 140. So 5 goes into 140, and then you times that answer by 9, you end up with 252. It would go in 28 times because you multiplied your denominators together. 28 into 140 would go 5 times. 5 times 9 is 45. You've got like denominators. You can now add your numerators together. You end up with 297 over 140. You then simplify that into a mixed number and you get 2 and 17 over 140. And that is your final answer. Can you see? It's not that difficult. It's just a lot of working out. So you have to make sure, not like me, you have to make sure that you don't make mistakes along the way because it will throw you out in the end. Right. You try. Here's one. Again, it looks quite complicated. It is actually not. Work through it step by step. Okay? Pause the video. work through it step by step. It might take you quite a while, and it also might take up quite a lot of page space, but doesn't matter as long as you're going through it step by step. Pause the video, you try, and then come back and we'll go over it. Right, let's see how you did. Okay, there is the calculation. If we do it step by step, we're going to go and first of all, add our numerators here together because they are one thing. 7 plus 2 will give me 9. It's all still under the square root. There, we need to change it into an improper fraction. We can do it all in the same line. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 will give me 8. Here, we can work out the square of 2, so 2 times 2 is 4. And as we looked at earlier, 120 to the power of 0 will give me 1. So that shouldn't have stressed you out at all. You know that it's going to end up being 1. Okay, so now the next thing to do, let's have a look, is work out the square root of 9 over 16, and it will be 3 over 4. So now we have 3 over 6 divided by 3 over 4, plus 8 over 5 times 5 over 4, plus 1. Right, so we can now do the, that we can tip and times there, and we could have worked out that, okay? So first of all, 5 goes into itself once, 5 goes into itself once, so that's 1 and 1. And here it would be 1, and that would be 2. That's where we get our 2 over 4 from. Here we've tipped and times that second number, the second fraction, because it was divided, so it would be 3 over 6 times 4 over 3, plus, as we explained now, that would be 2 over 1 plus 1. Can you see how it's getting simpler and simpler every single line that we work out? Okay, we can then simplify the 3 over 6 times 4 over 2, and we could go 3 into itself goes once, and into this one goes once. 4 you can divide by 2, so you've got 2 over 3. The other way you could do it is you could go, that is 1 over 2, and then you can simplify across the 2 and the 4. Okay, so we've now got 2/3 plus 2 plus 1, and we're going to end up with 3 and 2/3. Okay, can't simplify that anymore. See the whole numbers? We just add them together. All right. Okay, let's try one more, and then you can go and do your activity that has been posted for you. Okay, again, this looks quite involved. Work through it step at a time. Okay, even if you write more lines and you only tackle one thing in the expression at once. Right, let's have a look. First of all, we are going to cube each of these because there is a bracket around the whole fraction. So 3 cubed is going to give me 27. 2 cubed is going to give me 8. Then I had to divide that by the cube root of 1 over 64. Now, 1 cubed is 1. So 1 to the cube root is 1. And 64 to the cube root is 8, because 8 times 8 times 8, that's also wrong. Again, I'll change that for us. Okay, so if we cube root 1 over 64, we're going to get 1 over 4, because 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 is 64. Right, so now we've got 27 over 8 divided by a quarter minus 3 over 2 all squared, because 1 1/2 is 3 over 2. Before we can square anything, we have to change it back to an improper fraction, times 5 over 9, because 3 squared is 9, and 1 1/12 is 13 over 12. Okay, next thing we do is, sorry about that, guys. There's lots of mistakes today. I'm really sorry. Okay, so we now tip in times. So we've got 27 over 8 times 4 over 1 minus 9 over 4, because now we've squared everything in the bracket. Square the 3, square the 2, we're going to get 9 over 4, times by 5 over 9, plus 13 over 12. Okay, now remember, we've got to do the multiplication before we do the subtraction and the addition. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to simplify. So 2 goes into there twice, 2 goes into there 4 times. There's another mistake. Let me just fix it quickly. It's fixed. So 4 goes into itself once, it goes into 8 twice. So we've got now 27 over 2 minus 5 over 4. How did we get the 5 over 4? Because 9 cancels itself out. Okay, we've cross simplified. And then we're going to get the 5 over 4. There we go. And plus the 13 over 12. So then we have to find a common denominator. We can either do it in stages or we can do it all together. But let's see what's happening. We found a common denominator of 12. Okay, 2 goes into 12 6 times. So 6 times 27 gives me 162. 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. And then that fraction stays the same because it is already over 12. Right? We are now going to do the first part. 162 minus 15. It's going to give me 147 over 12 plus 13 over 12. That will give me 160 over 12. Okay, now we know that 12 times 12 is 144. It is a little bit short, so it's going to give me 13 and 4 over 12, okay, because we can take another 12 out of that. So if it's 144 plus 12, give me 152. And, sorry, 156. And then we've got 13 and 4 over 12. We can simplify that to 13 and 1/3. Okay, it's amazing how something really big like this could get down to that. And it's all about working step at a time. And don't be like me. Check yourself each time. Okay, on each row, check that you found the right common denominator if you need to, that you simplified properly, that you've done, if you've had to square the whole fraction, that you've squared them both, the numerator and denominator correctly, that you square rooted correctly. And if you do that and you go through the problem slowly, you will end up with the correct answer. And don't forget to simplify. Remember, guys, if there is anything you need to ask, to email to WorksheetCloud to grade 8 at WorksheetCloud.com. And if there's any comments that you want to make, you can do exactly the same thing. Just remember, if you are having a birthday in May, wishing you a happy birthday. And if you had one already, I hope you had a great day on that day. Thank you for joining us again. Don't forget to do your activity. And I'll see you next time with the next next lesson in the series on Focus on Fractions. Thank you for today. Goodbye for now.